Yo, what is up guys? SCJ here, back with another video. And like I mentioned in my last video, I haven't had much to talk about, so my channel's been kind of dry in terms of videos lately. But with the Rockets pretty much being the talk of the NBA over the last month or so, due to trading Russell Westbrook for John Wall, signing DeMarcus Cousins, and the James Harden trade talks that have been ongoing for quite a bit of time now, I've seen many people talking about the team and their three best guys, and I felt like it would be good to talk about one of those three guys on the team that people seem to be underestimating, and that would be DeMarcus Cousins. So I'm sure many of you guys watching know or remember this, but in case you don't, back on January 26th of 2018, DeMarcus Cousins suffered a torn left Achilles in the New Orleans Pelicans 115-113 win over his now current team, the Houston Rockets. Boogie was having a tremendous game before going down with the torn left Achilles, as he had 15 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists with a field goal percentage of exactly 50%. Cousins would undergo surgery on his Achilles 5 days later, and that would of course end his season. A few months later, Cousins would apparently turn down the Pelicans' offer to re-sign him, hoping to get more money, but that wouldn't happen, and Cousins eventually ended up signing a $5.3 million deal with the Golden State Warriors on July 6, 2018. Even after dealing with what is quite literally the worst injury for any basketball player, Cousins actually played very well in my opinion during his time with Golden State. Cousins averaged 16.3 points on a very good 48% field goal percentage, 8.2 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 1.3 steals, and 1.5 blocks in his lowest minute per game average of his career, coming in at 25.7 minutes over the course of 30 games played. So in limited minutes coming off an injury and his lowest number of field goals attempted per game, Cousins still played very well. Some might attribute that to the fact that he was getting very good looks with such a talented roster around him in Golden State, and maybe that was the case, but he also had to share touches with 4 All-Stars, and that of course isn't going to necessarily help how his overall offensive numbers look, but just something to keep in mind. After the Warriors' rough ending to their season with Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson suffering season-ending injuries in the 2019 finals and having a rough free agency period when most notably Durant left the Warriors to join the Nets, Cousins would also leave Golden State to sign a one-year deal with the Los Angeles Lakers. Sadly for Boogie though, he would suffer an ACL injury in preseason workouts with the Lakers on August 15th and would never end up playing a game while being a member of the LA Lakers, as they would end up waiving him on February 23rd of that year before he could even return in order for them to gain a roster spot. This left Cousins without a team for over 9 months until the Houston Rockets signed Cousins last week on December 1st to be exact. It's surprising Cousins couldn't find a team sooner, especially with one of the 22 teams in the NBA bubble this past summer, but alas, Cousins is now a member of the Rockets. This move was definitely one I didn't expect or didn't see coming, but more I think about it, the more it makes sense, as the Rockets are doing everything to try to keep James Harden in Houston. Plus, the Rockets pretty much cleaned house of their centers to play small ball, but with Coach Mike D'Antoni now in Brooklyn as an assistant coach under head coach Steve Nash, it makes sense that they'd want to go and add size to their roster once again. So now it's been 547 days since DeMarcus Cousins has last played an NBA game, but fittingly enough, the Rockets will be one of the 5 teams kicking off the NBA preseason tonight when they take on the Bulls in Chicago. That certainly is a long layoff from NBA action for Cousins, but his return from his Achilles injury was nearly a year and he looked fine. So while 357 days is much less than 547 days, which is exactly a year and a half, I don't think it'll be a huge factor for Cousins in my eyes. Cousins has also looked good in recent workouts and videos we've seen of him, and while you probably know if you watch my other videos that I always say practice and workouts are much different than actual NBA games and NBA action, but the things you'd expect to be significantly affected, such as speed and athleticism, truly don't look too bad in the footage that we've seen of him so far. Of course, that may be different when going up against the best talent in the world, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see about that. If you had to ask me, I'd say expect to see Boogie out there a good amount tonight, as well as taking a decent number of shot attempts as well. Also, taking a look at Cousins' per 36-minute stats, you can see that his numbers really were up there with some of his best seasons he had in terms of per 36-minute numbers. And while I very much know, and I will be the first to tell you, that per 36-minute numbers don't always tell you the story or the big picture, I think if you use them in a situation like the one we're looking at with Cousins, it can be intuitive and useful, and it's not the same as looking at per 36-minute numbers for a player at the end of the bench who sees less than 5 or 10 minutes a game. We're looking at a player who saw 25 minutes a game and gave us a good enough sample size to evaluate and look at with or without the per 36-minute stats. One last thing I look at as very important is where Cousins' head is at. He has seemed extremely motivated to get back out on the court and just prove that he's still got it, and in the videos we've seen of him, he's pretty much even said that. I think if Boogie can get enough touches as a member of the Rockets, which I expect he most likely will, and if the team doesn't extremely limit his minutes, he'll be fine and will look good out there, as doctors and physicians have stated numerous times that with basketball players, if they are in fact healthy, the best bet is to let them get adequate enough minutes and action when they return, as limiting their minutes as they return can actually re-injure them. And after we saw Cousins suffer another tough injury last summer, injuring his ACL, it would be terrible to see another injury happen, and the last thing Cousins needs, especially with him now finally getting his shot at finding a place to call home in the league. And if Houston isn't his place to call home for too long, he's at least got a shot at building interest among other teams throughout the league. So in closing, I think Boogie Cousins is set to have a resurgent and solid or very good season during the upcoming 2020 to 2021 NBA season. I want to know what you guys think though. How do you think Cousins will look this year, and or do you see him lasting long or lasting at all in Houston? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you liked the video though, make sure to give it a like as it helps out a lot. And if you want to see more NBA content and breakdowns like this video or my others, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. That way you stay up to date with my newest uploads. And with the preseason beginning tonight, you'll definitely want to do that, as I plan on having more good content coming with the season basically among us now. Anyway though guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I am SCJ and I am out. Peace.